Hey, this is Bobby Davis from Coder Foundry here, and today we're going to do a special live shot here. I've got a good friend of mine, Teddy Burriss, who's a LinkedIn consultant, coach, and trainer. He's written a couple of books. I've known him for a long time. If I say I've known you more than 20 years, that both makes us really old, Teddy. So I don't want to say how long we've known each other, but a long time. We've shared many a pizza together. But hey, Teddy, how you doing today?
Bobby, life is really, really good. I'm having a great day. Thanks for asking.
All right, cool. So here at Coder Foundry, one of the things that we talk to students about is increasing their social presence and help them get a job. And so you're a LinkedIn consultant and coach. I know you talk to a lot of companies and people trying to maximize their use of LinkedIn coaching. How did you get into this first? And then we can talk a little bit about how a student could use it.
Well, if you remember back in the day, Bobby, when you and I thought we were competitors,
Yeah.
playing in that technology space that I was playing in, that's when I discovered social media. I wrote the book Networking for Mutual Benefit, which is a fun book to write, and I discovered that I didn't have enough time in the day, I didn't have enough shoe leather.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't afford enough gas for me to get around and meet all the people I wanted to meet.
Right.
And so I started playing with Facebook, and I started playing with Twitter, and then I started playing with LinkedIn very seriously.
Okay.
And that's when I discovered that most of the people that I wanted to have a conversation with, they were on LinkedIn. They weren't doing anything, but they were at least there.
Okay.
And the more I played with it, the more I discovered that most people didn't know how to use LinkedIn right or to get value from it. And my wife and I were planning to start a business, and that became the catalyst for the business to start.
Okay, that's great. So for those out there that don't know it, I mean, if I'm out there looking for a job, why would I want to use LinkedIn, say, over Facebook?
Oh, yeah, well, I'm not saying don't use Facebook, but if
Right.
you are going to use Facebook, be careful about how many pictures you post if you holding some kind of smoking device.
Yeah.
You don't want that.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with Facebook. It's a great place to connect with people. But LinkedIn is what's referred to as a business social network.
Right.
And here's a stat that's still pretty relevant. 97% of all business owners and recruiters
Mm-hmm.
are going to hunt you down on LinkedIn.
Okay, 97%, right?
97%. Before they interview you, before they call their buddies and ask their buddies about you, they're going to look on LinkedIn to find your profile and see what it says about you.
And the other 3% are probably unemployed, right? I'm just kidding. Because they're not using LinkedIn, right?
No. They're dentists and nurses, and they don't use
Right.
social media.
I got you. Right, exactly. So if I'm looking for a job, it sounds like I need to be on LinkedIn. Like that should be a requirement if I'm in the job search game.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's critical. There are a lot of people, and I rally behind this belief, that think a LinkedIn profile, excuse me, let me say it another way, a well-built LinkedIn profile
Okay.
is far more important than a resume.
Right. And that's what I think. I've seen that more and more, that the resume is being kind of phased out in society, and now they're looking at my social media profiles to see who I really am.
Yeah. I look at a resume, at least 90% of all the resumes out there, and I think of one thing and one thing only: my ongoing obituary.
Right. Okay. All right. Yeah, exactly. All right. So if I'm looking for a job and say that I find myself unemployed or I'm a career switcher, what's a big tip that I can use LinkedIn for? How could I use that to help me do that?
Well, if you look at the most important space on LinkedIn, which is your LinkedIn profile,
Mm-hmm.
then you need to be very deliberate and make sure that that profile, in all of the different areas across the profile, represent who you are and what you do / want to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's a critical for you to make sure that did you think about your LinkedIn profile more as a brochure
Mm-hmm.
and less of a resume?
Right. Okay. Now notice that I read a lot about this, and so there's the title part where you say who you are. is there any tips on what I should put in there? Should I put like what I want to do or what I'm currently doing, or how should I write that?
So that's called the headline. It's
Hmm.
right below your name on your, excuse me, right below your picture on the top of your profile. If you don't manage that appropriately, then what it becomes for most people is your HR assigned title
Hmm.
and the word at and your company name. Well, that's the worst stuff to put there.
Right.
It's the number one indexed field in LinkedIn,
Right.
and then, people who are in software development should know what index means.
Right.
Uh, and so if it's the number one index field, then you better fill that thing out with keywords that state what you do or what it is that you want to do.
Okay. So give me a good example of one of those you think. I don't care about the job industry, but what do you think is a good LinkedIn headline?
Well, here, let me show you mine.
Okay, cool.
Well, I mean, mine very clearly, as I put it in my face so I can read it to you, mine very clearly is, it is appropriately indexed because more often than not, when you do a Google search for LinkedIn trainer, I am the number one Google result.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, anybody want to look at what I think is a well-written profile, look at Teddy Burriss, Burriss, and my headline says, "Don't let your sales team waste time on LinkedIn."
Okay. All right, cool.
Okay, and then I go on. I use the word LinkedIn trainer, LinkedIn coach, keynote speaker, strategist. It's keyword rich, and so that's the most important thing you can think about when you build your headline.
Okay.
Keyword rich.
So like if I'm a software developer and my language is C# or web developer, I would say something like, I am a C# web developer. I build websites for people in C#.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Drop the I am part. You
Right.
just use 4 letters you don't need to use.
Right.
Just refer to yourself as a C# web developer, creating web solutions for business, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
I think that's real important because a lot of people don't look at that much. And I do know if you Google a LinkedIn profile and it comes up, the first thing you notice is the name in that headline. And I have looked at research results like that. And even as me, when I'm looking for people to hire here, I looked at LinkedIn profiles a lot. So like that's where I'm looking for people. If I can't find you on LinkedIn, I'm assuming you don't exist.
You don't exist. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
What about like do you care about the image at the top, or should I stay with the light blue with the crisscross thing? That changed mine, but I'm more on the art side. So what do you think?
Yeah, that's just a nice looking banner. I tell people that if you spend time to put a relevant and yet interesting or intriguing image up there, that tells most people who pay attention that you're at least spending time to build out your brand.
Mm-hmm.
If you put nothing, that just means you weren't paying enough attention to your branding.
Right. So you should change it to something, right? Is that what you're saying?
Something relevant, something interesting. It doesn't need to be overly branded,
Mm-hmm.
but it needs to be relevant image.
Okay. Cool. All right. Great. What else could I use LinkedIn for? What's a good idea that someone else that's out there saying that? Because a lot of times we talk to a lot of people and they're on Facebook, they're on Twitter, they're on Instagram. But if you're in their 20s, you may not have established a LinkedIn profile. What's a good use for it?
So I refer to it as a social networking site. And so think about this. When you go networking, you're after lots of things. You're after to meet people who are relevant to you, meet people who are interesting, meet people who can maybe open doors for you. But there's also a great place to find ideas and content. I mean, LinkedIn is spending a lot of money with the systems in place for people to produce and distribute content on LinkedIn. So, I love it. There's a lot of really smart people. LinkedIn calls them influencers that I follow because they got really interesting content out there. So, you can learn as well as connect and meet people who are like you and people who are not like you that maybe are interested.
Okay. So let's say that I'm looking for a job and I find the company that I want to work for. How would I approach the hiring manager through InMail or should I message them directly? What should I do?
No.
Okay.
No. Unless, so look, think about this. It's like walking up to a complete stranger Most job seekers are going to walk up to somebody and hand them a resume. Don't
Right.
do that.
Right.
Don't send an invite to connect with the hiring manager in the department in the company you want to work for. Here's a better idea.
Okay.
Find somebody that you know who knows that person.
Okay.
Or find somebody you know who knows somebody in that company and ask somebody to introduce you.
Okay.
An introduction from somebody that trusts and respects you to somebody that they know is far more successful than sending an invite out to somebody who doesn't know you from Adam's house cat.
Right, and I believe that when we're looking for jobs or if we're trying to sell something to somebody, I think it's better to do it that way and then try to send a form letter over there. It's kind of like applying to the job sites today, which I think a lot of times for developers is a waste of time because you just get screened out or they don't get mapped right in that Monster. I've put literally I'm looking for dev roles and added Monster. And I'll get 4 or 5 people that worked at Walmart that applied to my job, and I realized okay, Monster has kind of misaligned this. They didn't apply for my job. I just get it wrong. So you end up you screen out a lot of resumes just by looking at it. But if you got an intro from somebody, that's kind of powerful. You at least take a look at what they're doing, and so. Let's say we got them to look at our profile. What do we want them to see?
Well, if you start with a nice looking picture that shows that you're approachable,
okay,
you have to have a picture. A headline that clearly says, an example we referred to earlier is a C# developer.
Right.
And then your about section. Check out your about section. That's right below that top box. This is where you can talk about what you've done, what you've learned, your accomplishments. You talk about all the things that you've done and been involved in. Listen to these words, relevant to a C# developer.
Right. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Not other things or I save whales or anything like that. What you're looking for. Let's go back to that picture. I looked on LinkedIn. For the most part, most people have pro shots. But every now and then you'll see the tuxedo shot or they're sticking their tongue out or they want to make it funny. And it's just not the place. I don't think it's the place for that. Is that what you think?
Well, think about this. It's you walking down the street and everybody walking past you who you don't know, who could be your next boss.
Right.
So you need to represent yourself in a professional way. Now, once you and I get to know each other, we'll sit down and have a pizza and a glass of cheer wine and we'll laugh all day.
Exactly. I like that North Carolina reference right there. So, would you jump into a conversation with the person you want to meet?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that kind of stalky?
No, not if you're doing it appropriately. I do this all the time. I call that bump into my target audience.
Okay. Yeah.
But if you bump into somebody in public or on LinkedIn, the next words out of your mouth better be highly relevant to that person and or to that post.
Right. Okay. Cool. What about what's the difference between a post and an article? I write articles on LinkedIn. I also have posts. Are they marketed differently, or how do those things work?
Yeah, they're hard. LinkedIn articles take a lot of. There's a lot of magic behind that, which I have not completely nailed down for articles. They're long form blog posts.
Right.
It's a great tool, and by the way, everything you post on LinkedIn, if you do it right, is 100% public, which means you can share it outside of LinkedIn.
Right.
But remember, LinkedIn still owns that space, even though you own the words.
Mm-hmm.
A post is either just a simple statement, an image, a video, a link to third-party content, which, by the way, is hard to get eyeballs on.
Mm-hmm.
And here's something that's really getting some great value and some good eyeballs, and that is you can post a document, particularly PDFs. My latest PDF I posted on LinkedIn got over 5,000 views in less than a week.
Okay, cool. All right.
Yeah.
And so they seem to be they'll see the post and they click on that document and it appears in their web browser or whatever and they read it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And from the coder side of me, I know that PDF's the best one to do that way. Don't use Word or something like that because not everyone has Word. PDF will work great. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So what else are you doing? You're doing events, things like that. What types of events do you go to, and where can we find you if we want to learn from you?
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for asking about me. So I'm all over the place. Associations hire me for conferences, technology conferences. I go to those all the time. The newest thing I have coming up, which I'd love to share, I'll send you the link if it's okay with you. Is
Sure.
I have a 1 hour free webinar coming up the end of this year and the
Okay.
first 2 weeks of next year. 1 hour just filled with content about how to get value out of LinkedIn. Really excited about that because I often get a lot of engagement. A lot of people want to know more about it. And then at the end of January, I kick off my 2020 mastermind group, which is going to be 6 weeks of slap full with content, engagement, conversations, questions, answers, live webinars, all about how to use LinkedIn as a business tool. So
Okay.
if you don't mind, I'll send you the link to the free webinar. And if
Okay.
anybody wants to join a free webinar, just hop right in.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we'll post a link here at the bottom of the video. You'll see that in the description here, and we'll make sure that that word gets out. What
Yeah.
the final thing that I want to talk about is just encourage the audience here that if you're not on LinkedIn, or if you think it's just something you've kind of set up and kind of let go, there's tumbleweeds around your portfolio or something like that. You need to jump in there and start utilizing it. I really think that if not all the employers are looking at this now, and if you're not there, they don't think you exist, and you should really go to one of these webinars from you to learn, like, how can you utilize this better. I know that we use it a lot, and the moment we get a student and they get a LinkedIn profile, recruiters start reaching out to them. There's searches built up where people can search 3 levels deep or
Yeah.
5 levels deep, and
Yeah.
and they can find you, and if you're not there, they won't find you.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's another powerful stat, Bobby.
Yeah.
Every every second, every second of the day, 2 new LinkedIn members.
Wow. Okay, that's a lot. So, like, yeah.
Been pretty consistent for about the last year. 2 new LinkedIn members every second.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, Eddie, Teddy, I enjoyed the this conversation here. Anything else you want to ask me, or what else could you tell the audience here about LinkedIn?
It's a serious business tool, but it's a great place to meet people. Not only have I gotten great business from it and helped people get jobs from it, but I've met people who have become personal friends because of our relevance to each other. So I tell people use LinkedIn the same way you use walking up to a complete stranger and say hi. It's a
Okay.
powerful tool for life.
All right. Cool. So, we got any
Yeah.
questions or anything? Oh, you know what, Teddy? People want to ask you questions. Can you stick around and answer a few questions?
I can hang around,
All
buddy.
right. Cool. All right. So we've
Yeah.
got some questions here. What do we got, Kevin?
Okay. Question is, what would be your tip for a junior developer making a LinkedIn account now after watching you?
Okay. So the question was, what tip would you have for a junior developer, someone just breaking in, and they're just now making their profile?
Across every industry. And here's the answer. Build a profile and it's remember these words. It's a journey, not a race.
Okay.
So build a profile that'll pay huge dividends in life.
Okay, cool. Connect with as many people as you can that's relevant to you, and it'll pay you dividends and forward. All right.
Yeah.
You got any other ones, Kevin? What
Yeah,
else we got?
do. Is it worth the time to do endorsements for your connections?
Okay. So did you hear that? They're wanting to know, do endorsements matter? Does it matter if I go get endorsements from
You
me?
know, I think endorsements are a nice way to say I like somebody and I know them in that context. But in the big picture for branding and the big picture for career development, endorsements are not as important as recommendations.
Okay. So a recommendation. So what's a recommendation if the audience doesn't know that?
So if you look at someone's profile and you see and you're connected to them, you click on the more, you'll see the word more in the top as part of their profile, and in there it'll say give a recommendation or make a recommendation, and that's where you write longhand that I could put an example of my new buddy Kevin. Hey, I've known Kevin for some time. I've watched some of the content he's produced on YouTube. The guy is an absolute genius at producing YouTube content. And I think if anybody wants to have content produced,
Right.
they should talk to Kevin.
Yeah, just don't hire him. Don't hire Kevin. I've had
Sorry, buddy.
other people get hired out of here, so like don't hire Kevin. So, What else we got, Kevin?
I guess we talked about earlier about a brochure comment. How detailed should we get? Major headlines or small blurb?
Okay, so do we have a major headline, like it's really long, it's War and Peace, or should we put a blurb in that so they can read it real quick?
Well, in your headline, unless you have the magic that I have, your headline's only going to be 120 characters.
Right.
So that's pretty succinct.
Right.
Okay. So in your about section is where you expand that out.
Okay.
So does that make that? Did I get that question right?
Yep. Yep, that's perfect. Yeah, so like it's the headline in the newspaper and the articles in the about section.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, another one.
Another one.
Is it worth doing the LinkedIn certification stuff for developers?
Okay, is it worth doing the LinkedIn certification stuff? I know I've taken the JavaScript one just for fun, but like I always wondered. I think it's kind of buried, but tell me what you think.
So are you talking about LinkedIn certifications through LinkedIn Learning?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a premium feature. So you have to be paying for LinkedIn to get to that.
Right.
And I don't. I mean, there's lots of ways you could put certifications on your LinkedIn profile. It doesn't have to be LinkedIn certifications. But that said, I think LinkedIn Learning is a very useful tool if you're willing to spend the 20, 30, 40 bucks a month to get into that the premium LinkedIn.
Okay. Yeah, they've got a lot more content as it goes. It's, even in my space, the dev space, there's a lot of good coding content out there. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Anyone else, Kevin? Okay, that's it. All right. Well, let's put that link out there one more time. So tell us where your webinar is. Tell us where they can find you.
So I'll give you the long link, but basically just look for Teddy Burriss on LinkedIn. Anybody seeing this, and you don't see the link, just look for Teddy Burriss, Burriss. Send me an invite, and you have to tell me in the invitation note that you found me through the Coder Foundry YouTube channel.
All right, so he's calling you out. So make that invitation relevant to Teddy, and he'll link up with you, and then he can cue into some of those free webinars and some other things that's going on with his with his network at large. Well, Teddy, I thank you for coming on. We're going to have to go get some pizza and cheerwine again. That sounds absolutely fantastic. But thanks for coming on, and good luck. And just let me know if I can help you out in any way.
All right, buddy. Thanks a lot. You guys take care.
All right, see you, Teddy. Bye.
Yep.